Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Earlier today, our guy Sawyer Merritt shared this article titled Tesla to Become Advisor on Nickel Project in a Bid to Secure a Key Metal, subtitled Electric Car Maker to Lock in Supplies of Component Used in Batteries in New Caledonia Deal. Now, most of us know anything dealing with Tesla and nickel deserves our attention, so let's dive in and explore this together. And real quick, if you're someone who was giving Sawyer a hard time on Twitter, please stop. We need people to report all of the Tesla news, not just the good stuff. Tesla is to be a technical advisor at the Goro Mine and will also get long-term supplies of nickel from this project and from this new agreement with the New Caledonian government. New Caledonia is made up of dozens of islands in the South Pacific and is actually a French territory. And yes, there was actually a vote for full independence from France in November of 2018, but independence was rejected. And as you could have guessed, New Caledonia is one of the world's largest nickel producers. The thing is, since that 2018 vote, there have been protests among the locals that still want independence from France, which previously delayed the sale of this Goro mine and refinery. And this new deal involves the big multinational metal and mining operator Vale, one of the biggest on the planet. Just today, political leaders in New Caledonia agreed to new terms for the sale of Vale's nickel business, which will include a majority stake for local interests in an attempt to ease the unrest of this planned sale. Tesla's role was deemed a technical and industrial partnership where Tesla will of course source raw materials for batteries. So in a sense, it was actually this political unrest from the pro-independence groups that were opposing Vale's sale of this nickel mine and processing plant that allowed a window of opportunity. The original sale was going to go to a consortium including the Swiss commodity trader Trafigura, but under this new agreement, a 51% stake in the Vale operations will be held by New Caledonia and other local interests. Trafigura will have a 19% stake, less than the original 25% they would have had in the first deal. And I should mention, this is not yet formally finished, but the plans of the agreement are laid out and agreed upon. This mine was actually recently shut down in part due to, quote, violent protests forcing Vale to shut down operations. Reopening of these operations will restart around 3,000 direct and indirect jobs, and Trafigura has said they are looking forward to operations resuming and for final completion of the transaction as soon as possible. According to the agreement, Tesla will act as an industrial partner to help with the product and sustainability standards as well as using some supply for battery production. And no, Tesla will not have an equity stake in the deal, but its close involvement in the mine is yet another real step from Tesla to take greater control over its entire supply chain from mine to battery. Most of the global nickel supply comes from Russia, Canada, New Caledonia, and Indonesia, and it's actually used to make stainless steel, so it's not just an element for battery production. Nickel has seen an increase in price of around 26% over the past year, as it's commonly agreed upon that for the most powerful lithium-ion batteries, it's a very important element. And this is partly why Elon just tweeted a few days ago that nickel was Tesla's biggest concern for scaling lithium-ion cell production, and that's why they are shifting standard range cars to an iron cathode, as there is plenty of iron and lithium to go around. And in just the last 2 days, nickel futures on the LME have dropped by 12.6% after a Chinese holding group company said it also signed a deal to supply battery-grade nickel. This specific deal would involve nickel pig iron to supply EV battery production, which would mean less pressure on class 1 nickel going forward. Basically, nickel pig iron is a low-grade ferronickel invented in China as a cheaper alternative to pure nickel traditionally used to make stainless steel. The production process of nickel pig iron uses laterite nickel ores instead of pure nickel. These lateritic nickel ore deposits account for about 73% of the world nickel resources and will definitely be a dominant source for mining nickel for years to come. And of course, the ability to not just use this for stainless steel, but in EV batteries is a big deal. Now, sourcing this nickel deserves a video in and of itself, so perhaps I'll start working on something like that. But for now, it should be mentioned that this new deal is calling for reinforced environmental standards, and they have set a target for the mining complex to be carbon neutral by 2040. And yes, we're hearing all kinds of promises like this, so take it with a grain of salt, but we do know that Tesla is striving to not only secure the supply of of materials they need to scale, but to do so in an environmentally friendly way. With Tesla focusing on sustainability, it prefers to buy from miners of higher grade nickel sulfide, which requires less power to process than the laterite ores I just mentioned. But ultimately, the true balance of securing supply to scale versus doing so sustainably is still not really known. If you're wondering where Tesla has been getting nickel to date, welcome to the club. I say this because we can do our very best to track the supply chain, but it's about as clear as mud. Tesla hasn't helped us much as it hasn't disclosed which specific nickel miners are in its supply chain. Tesla has sourced nickel, cobalt, manganese batteries from LG Chem and nickel, cobalt, aluminum from Panasonic, but these supply chains starting from the mine are incredibly complex and pass through many stages and many hands before ending up in a Tesla vehicle. Hence why Tesla moving further down the supply chain is such a big deal. They can cut out outdated ways of doing things and bring their first principles thinking to the mining industry, where I think most would agree it's time for change. And I'm sure, or at least I hope, we will get more detail on Tesla's Q1 2021 conference call. But as with most strategies, Tesla will probably want to play this close to the chest without divulging too much information on the details of the deal or exactly how they will be involved with this new Caledonia deal. What we can be reasonably assured of is that this deal will supply Tesla with a long-term nickel supply deal, and B, much more control over the operations than they have ever had to date. These two aspects alone make this a very encouraging and exciting deal, and a reminder that Tesla is always working behind the scenes to make things happen. They're not just making bold claims about the future. They are actually making move in the key parts of the game where their ability to scale has been hindered the most. And on the surface, this deal seems like a win-win-win. Vale is finally able to unload this portion of its portfolio, the locals and the New Caledonian government get a majority stake in the operations, and the consortium that will hold the remainder of the owning interest will be able to restart operations, keeping thousands of jobs for the local economy and adding this chunk of business to their books. And of course, the best for us Tesla investors, Tesla sneaks in as a technical advisor. I absolutely believe Tesla has a game plan for how they can improve the efficiency and cost of mining in New Caledonia, and they will act like a contractor in a sense. Now, yes, it may take years to implement some of these changes, so this will definitely take time to play out for the end consumer in terms of cheaper EVs from this specific deal, but that time is coming. And of course, locking in nickel supply is a big deal for the Tesla Semi, Cybertruck, and the batteries that need the extra oomph that the nickel provides. But that's all that I have for you guys today. Please take a second to like this video if you did. Consider subscribing for more Tesla content, and I hope to see you in the next video. I hope that you have a great day. And guys, real quick, one mini rant for you. If you are out there constantly watching Tesla's share price, wondering if you should be selling, wondering what's going on, please stop doing this. If you are an investor in Tesla, put your money into the company, whether it's one time or something that you do monthly, and don't look at it for 5 to 10 years. Yes, keep up with the news. Yes, do what you enjoy. But honestly, guys, investing is a 5 to 10 year thing at a minimum. Buying and selling month to month, and it's seemingly on Twitter day to day, is a fool's errand and not something you need to do. Time in the market always beats timing the market. All of these short-term swings have little to nothing to do with Tesla's fundamentals and future prospects, so please just relax, take a breath, and understand if you're an investor, this is a long-term game. There is no need to panic in the day-to-day fluctuations of Tesla stock price. Until next time.